Yes! What is up, everyone? And out of respect and admiration for Serie A and all of the drama that seems to surround the league and its clubs every single season, because it's like a goddamn soap opera over there, and at the end, Juventus always finishes as the champion, I said to myself, vaffanculo, let's do another preview! And so here we go. Here are my thoughts on Italy's top division this season, and we're going to start with my picks for the Europa League first. And yes, I know I'm going out of order, but just deal with it already. Anyway, having to settle for fifth, I'm going with Lazio. After their stud striker Ciro, the hero Immobile, penaltied his way into winning the Golden Boot over Cristiano Ronaldo. He scored a lot of penalties, which was the third time he was the league's top scorer. It helped the Roman club challenge for the Scudetto for 2/3 of the season until, unfortunately, they fell apart after the restart, which saw Juve capture the title for the 9th consecutive time. Well, they had to settle for 4th, which is something Spurs would do, right? Just to throw some shade at Spurs, which is always fun, where they act like they're going to really do something special, but then have to settle for 4th. But not all was lost for Lazio, as they finished above their hated rivals Roma and got a coveted Champions League spot. However, there is a price to pay for being in Europe's top club competition, especially when you're a team like Lazio that lacks depth, which meant when David Silva spurned them at the last minute to join Real Sociedad instead of them, it must have really hurt given his quality. So as much as I appreciate what manager Simeone Inzaghi has done with the team, I think that they're going to be too spread thin to be able to compete at a high level in all of these competitions, which is why I think they're going to drop off a little bit. And then in 6th, and I know they probably won't let me in their city after I make this proclamation, but I'm going with Napoli in this spot. And yes, I say this knowing that they have the capability of doing great things, like when they beat Juve in the final of the Coppa Italia last season. But given the talent that they have in their squad, they were incredibly disappointing last campaign, which ultimately cost Carlo Ancelotti his job halfway through. Now, Gennaro Gattuso did well to win the cup in only his 17th game in charge as manager, and to have the team end up finishing in 7th in the table, that was pretty impressive. But this club has gone from almost taking Juventus' title under Ancelotti and Maurizio Sarri to let's just make the top 4 last season, which didn't happen, to let's just make Europe ahead of this coming season. And frankly, that's because other clubs, in fairness to them, keep coming in and taking their best players over the years, and it's hard to remain consistently good when that happens. Edinson Cavani was a beast. You remember when he was playing for Napoli? Well, he ended up getting sold. Gonzalo Higuain was at his peak when he played for Napoli, and he got sold to Juve of all teams. And that kind of feels like when Robert Lewandowski left Dortmund to go to Bayern Munich. The rich just get richer, and it doesn't feel fair. Then Jorginho became a vital part of the team, sold. Then they didn't see the true potential of Duvan Zapata, who's now killing it for Atalanta, and they put him on loan a few times while he was with them, and then they eventually sold him. Now Alon is out, Jose Cayón left to go back to Spain, and now Koulibaly and Milik could be on their way out too. And damn, dude, this is rough if you're a Napoli supporter. And yeah, sure, the purchase of 21-year-old Nigerian international striker Victor Osimhen from Lille for 77 million euros, which is the most they have ever spent on one player, is a good move for me because it gives them a true number 9 up top as opposed to having one of their little guys, Lorenzo Insigne or Dries Mertens, manning that spot instead. But a new league, a new team, the pressure and expectations of being a record signing, I just think it could take Victor a little while to get going, even though I think he's the real deal. However, before I announce my selections for the top 4 and bottom 3 and my top scorer and my player of the season, I want to mention a dark horse club that could wreck any of my picks for the top 6, but probably closer to the bottom of the top 6. And maybe I'm saying this because they're my favorite team in Serie A, so I've got that nice mix of cautiously optimistic and extreme bias, but I'm going with Roma, Roma, Roma. And I say this because they got a new owner, and new owners always like to make a splash right away, just to let the supporters know that they care and that they're going to do the right thing for the team. But this owner, Dan Friedkin, is letting Edin Dzeko go to Juventus. And no! And I don't care if Dzeko is 34 years old. We like older players. Otherwise, why would we sign 35-year-old Pedro? And yes, I know he's free, but he's still 35. Also, back to Dzeko. The dude scores goals. That's what he does. He had 16 last season alone, and that matters. Otherwise, why would Juve even want him? And actually, with Chris Smalling looking less and less likely to return, which is such a big loss for us because you saw what happened when he couldn't play in the Europa League against Sevilla after the restart. Roma looked like a bunch of cones in defense. And then you add that bad news in with the worst news ever, as Nicolo Zaniolo, who is undoubtedly the future of the club, unless we sell him, we probably will. He's out until February after tearing his ACL in his knee, and I'm devastated for him. So I'm going to have to admit that I'm truly dreaming that we can break into the top 6 when the harsh reality is that we're not as strong as we used to be, unless the combo of Pedro and Henrik Mkhitaryan can find the form they had 10 years ago. Anyway, that topic is making me sad. We got to talk about something else. So let's talk about the bottom three instead, which is also a little bit sad. And I'm going to preface it with a little fun fact because there's been a trend emerging over the last 3 seasons where 2 of the 3 newly promoted teams go straight back down to the second division. And who am I to say this trend won't continue? Just your favorite former U.S. men's national team player. And I'm going to go with Spezia and Crotone to go straight back down because Benevento was easily the best team in Serie B last season. They won that league by 18 points, suffered only 4 losses all season, only gave up 27 goals in 36 games, had a plus 40 goal difference, and just bossed everyone around. So I think they're going to be just fine battling it out with the other teams in the bottom half of the table, which means I'm going to give this last relegation spot to Genoa, because for the last 2 seasons, they've been just 1 place above the relegation zone in the table. So fair play to them for knowing how to survive no matter what. They're like the cockroaches of Serie A. They just never die. But this season, for whatever reason, I think they're going to get squashed. I think their luck is going to run out, and I'm sorry, guys. And now it's time for my top 4, and coming in at the 4th spot, and led by the king of all kings, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, it's AC Milan. Because, let's be honest, outside of Bayern Munich and Sevilla, they might be one of the hottest teams since the restart, winning 9 out of their 12 matches and drawing the other 3, which made their board do a complete 180 and keep Stefano Pioli in charge instead of bringing in yet another coach, which would have been their 10th manager in 10 seasons, which is never a good look. Just ask Watford. So you couple this newfound form and consistency and confidence that can only come with winning by keeping Zlatan for another season, getting solid as a rock defender Simon Kjær and stud attacker Ante Rebic to end their loans and commit full-time to the project, while also adding 3 highly touted youngsters in 20-year-old defender Pierre Kalulu from Lyon, 21-year-old attacking phenom Brahim Diaz on loan from Real Madrid, and perhaps the signing of the transfer window in 20-year-old midfielder Sandro Tonali, who, and this must feel really good for them, they stole right out from underneath their rivals, Inter Milan. And what I love about the signings of these younger players in particular is that it not only addresses some immediate needs, but it could positively shape this Milan team for years to come. So in short, I think Milan is on the up and up. And if they end up signing Federico Chiesa from Fiorentina, watch out! But for now, 4th. Now, as for who will get 3rd, well, let me start off by saying that I love this team and I love the way they play, which was on full display last season when they scored 98 goals in the league, which is just 2 goals shy of becoming the first Serie A team to score 100 goals in 1 league season since 1951. And when they came within 5 minutes of making it to the semifinals of the Champions League with an almost upset of PSG, it proved to me what I already knew to be true. These guys are legit. Now, I was worried last year that they wouldn't have the depth or stamina to manage being competitive in both Europe and Serie A, similar to what I'm saying now about Lazio, but with Atalanta, I couldn't have been more wrong. Not only did they handle it, they did it in style, which is a testament to their excellent scouting network and arguably the best academy in Italy. So my new fear for them is that they're no longer going to surprise anyone anymore. Every club is going to take them much more seriously, and that is going to make for much harder games, and that's going to take its toll both mentally and physically. However, I have complete faith in their manager Gianpiero Gasperini to figure it all out. A man whose 3-4-1-2 high-pressing system has taken the club from relegation battlers to Champions League regulars. But despite all of the deserved acclaim coming his way, Gasperini has never won a trophy before. So the only way he and his team, the best attacking side in Italy in the last 70 years, can be immortalized properly is to win some hardware. I just don't think it's going to be the league because the other 2 teams above them are a little stronger, but maybe they can capture the Coppa Italia this time around. Which means we're now down to the 2 teams that have a chance to win it all, which makes me really happy to say out loud because for the first time in forever, Serie A is not an automatic slam dunk like the Bundesliga continues to be. We actually have a legitimate contender to break Juventus' 9-year grip on the league trophy, but can Inter Milan do it? That is the big question. So let's do a compare and contrast to find out. On this side, Inter have a manager in Antonio Conte that helped establish Juve's recent dominance in the first place when he helped them win the first of their 9 straight league titles by going undefeated in the 2011-2012 season. Do you remember that? What a season that was for Juve, even though they had 0 players in the top 10 for scoring. How's that for a fun fact? Also, that just proves that Conte knows how to build winning teams, which is why I brought up that point in the first place. On this side, though, Juve now have a manager who played for Conte on that undefeated squad, so you think that might be an advantage, and I'm talking about Andrea Pirlo, but he has a combined 0 games of managerial experience, and he just completed his coaching badges. However, maybe he doesn't need stupid experience because he already knows all as our Lord and Savior. We love you, Andrea Pirlo. But still, it's kind of a risk because this isn't even a Frank Lampard or Mikel Arteta situation, who both got their feet wet somewhere else before taking over the top spot at the club they love. Now back to this side in Inter. Conte has continued to bring in players between 28 and 35 years of age with little to no interest in much younger players who may have much higher ceilings but still have some airs in their game, which feels very Jose Mourinho of him, by the way. And the best piece of evidence is the fact that he didn't flinch at the prospect of losing Sandro Tonali to AC Milan because he had his eyes on Arturo Vidal. But then back over here to Juve, they brought in Cristiano Ronaldo 2 seasons ago to do one thing and one thing only, and that's help them win the Champions League for the first time since 1996, and that hasn't happened yet. And to make matters worse, this plan to sign him might not have been the best decision, since his wages, which are higher than the second, third, and fourth highest earners on the squad combined, yes, combined, is severely limiting the club from bringing in proper reinforcements so that they can actually win the biggest club prize in all of Europe. And I say this with all due respect to Artur, Weston McKennie, and Edin Dzeko, or Luis Suarez, or Olivier Giroud, or whoever they're going to bring in for the number 9 spot. Whereas with Inter, sure, they got some old guys coming in, and I kind of wish I was one of them. But I'm talking about Kolarov and Alexis Sanchez making his move permanent, and potentially Vidal to go along with maybe getting Chris Smalling too. And that would happen in exchange for Ivan Perisic, which I actually think would be good business for both clubs, Manchester United and Inter. But they also got some young blood like Achraf Hakimi, who should lock down that right side for many years to come. So it just feels like Inter are on the cusp of something big. While Juve, not so much. Juve feel more hopeful, as in they hope Pirlo turns into a good manager. They hope Cristiano Ronaldo can keep playing at a high level even though he's 35 years old. They hope Rabiot, Bentancur, and Artur will be consistently good in the middle of midfield, but I don't know. I guess every team has this hope to a certain extent. It just feels like Juve are hoping more this season than just knowing. When you know, nothing gets in your way. You got it all figured out, and you walk out on the field knowing you're going to be a champion. This season, it just feels like, well, if everything falls into place, maybe we'll do it. And I say this because when I look at Inter's squad, Barella, Eriksen, Brozovic, Sensi, Vidal, all his options in the middle of midfield, plus Lautaro Martinez and Romelu Lukaku up top, De Vrij in the back, Handanovic in goal, Hakimi, Kolarov, it's just, I'm done. I know it. I can feel it. And Inter is winning the Scudetto this season, and Conte is going to end the dynasty that he started. But Ronaldo won't go out without a whimper, so I fully expect him to win the Golden Boot for the first time since he came to Italy. And that's partly because Ronaldo is a robot, and partly because Ciro the Hero Immobile scored 14 of his 36 goals on penalties last season, and I don't think Lazio will get as many penalties this time around. And partly because I think Inter's goals will be spread around a bit, so Lukaku maybe won't match last season's output, but he could because he's really been getting better every single season, especially on the statistical part of things. And then Zlatan, if we look at AC Milan, well, he isn't as spry as he used to be, so I don't expect him to get 30 goals anymore. So I like CR7 to keep hitting the back of the net because it's not only good for Juve, it's good for his brand. He's got to keep selling that underwear and cologne, you know? As for my player of the season, I'm going with Lukaku. He has continued to improve each and every year. His confidence and influence continue to grow. He's in the peak of any athlete's career at age 27, and with a great supporting cast around him, especially the up-and-coming superstar Lautaro Martinez as his partner in crime up top, I think Lukaku will prove to be the glue that keeps it all together and makes it all work to be the most valuable player on his team, which is important because they're going to win their first Scudetto in 10 years, which will then make him the most valuable player in the whole league. So yeah, wow, we finally got to the finish line, and Inter Milan is who I've got finishing first. How about you though? And what order are you thinking for the top 6? And your dark horse, who is that going to be? Your bottom 3? Top scorer, player of the season? I want to know all of your thoughts, so let me know those down below, and I will jump in the comments too, most likely to give you a hard time. And then come hang out with me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Jimmy Conrad. I am everywhere, so you're definitely going to see me soon. Later.